It is indeed very difficult for those who admire a Kenyan called Mbuvi Gideon Kioko Mike, better known as Mike Sonko. It is very difficult for them to believe that he's gone as governor of Nairobi. But gone he is, with his impeachment by the Senate swiftly gazetted. Done deal. Now, the story of Sonkore, or simply Sonko, which is Sheng for rich person, is extremely complex. But in the heat of the moment, many Kenyans have also failed to realize that the story of Nairobi County, formerly Nairobi City Council, is even more complex. And both complex stories are very juicy. And so probably this is a very good popcorn moment. Tayarisha Bobgon. There are many Kenyans who brush off Mike Sonko as somebody who's not very well educated and somebody who should never have been governor of Nairobi. And yet, the story of Mike Sonko is a movie complete with a prison break episode that would make Michael Scofield proud. Punctuated by other very high-wire drama moments, including the time after the unfortunate Westgate terrorist attack in Nairobi in 2013, September 2013 to be exact, when Sonko claimed that he had warned the security apparatus in the country about a possible attack 3 months earlier. But let's start with the bigger picture. Nairobi, oh Nairobi. Definitely the Rome of Kenya, which has had many casualties in its wake. And it seems Sonko is only the latest, but definitely not the last. Now, many analysts will agree that Sonko's downfall was mainly caused by his problems with the animal called the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, an animal set up by the national government to tackle the unmanageable, impossible, seemingly, problems of Kenya's capital city. Governor Mike Sonko signed the documents signing over power to this organization led by a military man. But later he claimed that he was tricked, that he did not read the small print before signing. And after a memorable meeting at the current home of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, Sonko came out fighting against this very organization. He signed off power too to run the affairs of Nairobi, at least the major ones. And because this was an initiative of the highest office in the land, it was inevitable that the end of Sonko had come. But the big picture here is that this is not the first time that the executive has decided enough is enough and stepped in to try and sort out the mess in Nairobi. In 1983, under the presidency of the late Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, the president then used his bosom buddy, untouchable cabinet minister for local government, a man called Moses Substone Mudamba Mudavadi, father, of course, to Musalia Mudavadi. And Bwana Mudavadi, the older Mudavadi, moved with speed and dissolved the Nairobi City Council. And in its place, a Nairobi City Commission was formed, run by national government. And Moi tried very hard. His local government minister, Substone Mudamba Mudavadi, tried even harder. But alas, Rome was too powerful. Now, I want us to take careful note of the fact that the power the President of Kenya wielded then can never be compared to the power of the presidency today. Yeah, whatever those who are fighting BBI tell you, yeah, about imperial presidencies. Folks, Moi's word was law. Legally, you could rush to court and get a court order against a directive by Moi you didn't like. However, whose court? In whose country? And assuming that you had a nagging death wish in making such a move, the moment you walked into a lawyer's office and it was discovered what you want to do, everybody would scamper from that office and run for their lives. And some of them would find their way to KANU party headquarters to pledge their loyalty and to distance themselves in the strongest language possible from your intentions, yeah, against Baba na Mama, KANU. That powerful presidency failed to tame Nairobi. In my view, it is important to understand that the problems facing Nairobi are much deeper, much more deeply rooted over a very long time, with powerful cartels and families who survive entirely from shifting documents and the inevitable checks, huge checks, at the Nairobi City Council, now the Nairobi County Government. Nairobi is too corrupt, and the roots of corruption go so deep under the buildings in Nairobi that it would be impossible to uproot them unless you uproot the entire city. I kid you not. And so it is not a simple matter of collecting garbage. Yeah, isn't it simple just to collect garbage here and there? No! It would be unrealistic and very naive for anybody to think they can just walk in and sort out Nairobi's problems, given a chance. If an imperial presidency in 1983 failed terribly, so much so that things got worse, who are you? And therefore the current initiative by the executive using the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, which is run by a military man and which already has had resounding success, is probably the best fighting chance for Nairobi to regain its long-lost glory. That is my view, and I'm very much aware that it's controversial. And more importantly, I'm also very much aware it's on very thin legal ice. Because our constitution is clear. Yeah. Counties shall be run by persons elected by the people. Period. I can't resist giving you a personal example just to show you the rot that is Nairobi. Years ago, as I was making my initial efforts to try and be an entrepreneur, I was shown a man who made money from streetlights. Yeah, he had cordoned off a few streetlights within Nairobi. Yeah, and the cost was substantial for those streetlights. And this man's simple, evil operation was run from some dark, dingy back streets of Nairobi. And what would happen is that immediately the city council had money to purchase lights, you would organize for those street lights to be stolen in the dead of the night. And then he'd quote to replace those street lights. Yeah, and then promptly replace those street lights with the ones he himself had guarded and then stolen at the opportune moment. And he just made sure that a few envelopes of cash reached the right people so that his operation would never be interfered with. And then he spent most of his day at a very famous bar somewhere in Nairobi that was open 24 hours called Karumaido. Prosperous, reputable Nairobi businessman. Yes, my friends, that is the rot that is Nairobi. And I wouldn't be surprised if such operations still continue to date. Indeed, I'm sure they do. And so, things are moving in Nairobi for the first time in many decades. That's the truth. Yeah. Although, of course, the legal part of it, you to sionge. But more importantly for our purposes today, this has got very little, much less than most of us realize, to do with Sonko. Yeah, who found those problems there. And he had his own political challenges right from the word go. And the rot in Nairobi, clearly, can only be tackled military style. And that has very little to do with Sonko, who was just at the wrong place, at the wrong time. But let's now go into Sonko's story. You will have heard several politicians say Sonko was not even supposed to be the governor. That statement is very accurate, 100% true. Because you'll remember, the system chose another man. And indeed, they went into a lot of trouble to get this man. Because somebody took a flight all the way to Canada to speak to Peter Kenneth and ask him to return to Kenya to take up a position as governor, Nairobi County. And there's evidence that initially the system did not inform some of its most trusted lieutenants, because people like the current Nairobi Senator, Johnson Sakaja, even went as far as launching their political campaigns to win the governorship of Nairobi County, until they had to apply emergency brakes. They were told, no, we have somebody for this one. Please, tafuta kiti yengine. Other blue-eyed boys of the system, like Mike Sonko, had rushed to university to get a degree, which is a requirement for anybody who wants to be a governor in Kenya. And when Sonko was told to step aside, and throw into the dustbin all his hard work over many months, Sonko said no. And people like David Murathe came out and told us, and very graphically at that, Sonko can never be governor of Nairobi. Imagine the President of the United States of America visiting Kenya. The protocol alone at the airport would confuse Sonko. Let alone the kizungu ambaye inatoka kwa mapua. Let's not even go there. And of course I understood what Bwana Murathe and company was saying. But I still rooted for Sonko. And many did not understand what's Kumekucha up to. Yet it is very simple. Our constitution says very clearly that the power is with the people, that they want to decide. If they wake up one morning and decide that they want to elect a Mamamboga who hurriedly got some university degree from some university as the President of the Republic of Kenya, there is no provision in our constitution for you to advise the people otherwise. Using your knowledge, using your kizungu mingi, and advise them, no, she can't. There's no provision in our constitution saying you should tell them, you can't elect this Mamamboga. No. Instead, elect this person. We have already spent money going to get him from Canada. Come on. You, the people of Kenya, are illiterate and ignorant. Na hamuna exposure, so let us make the decision for you. No. There's no such provision in the constitution. The people decide. And once the people have decided, it should be final. And I'm emphasizing this because I know there are many of us who believe that Governor Mike Sonko failed in Nairobi because of his lack of education and polish. That is not true. By the way, respected President Paul Kagame of Rwanda is a Form 4 dropout. Oh yes, in case you didn't know. Indeed, history has shown us again and again that intellectuals very rarely, if ever, make great leaders. And that is the truth. So why did Mike Sonko fail? Mike Sonko failed because Rome was too powerful. The rot in Nairobi, the forces in Nairobi against him were way too powerful. Admittedly, Sonko himself was way too naive to believe that he could take on these forces only with the power he had of the support of the people, and of course his closeness to the president. You know, former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is the only Kenyan I know with the distinction of putting the President of the Republic of Kenya on speakerphone. Oh yes! Some people somewhere doubted him. He picked up the phone, dialed directly to the president, and put his phone on speakerphone. I'm telling you, this man. And in my view, I don't think this has anything to do with the university degree. Yeah, because we have another man called Ferdinand Waititu, who went to very prestigious universities in India. But nobody in Kenya believes he's educated. Yeah. I believe what we're talking about here is polish. Yeah. Kukosa kufanya vitu zako kienyeji. You know, it is in the nature of some people to do their things kienyeji style. Yeah, without polish. And I'm one of those people. I hate pretentious polish, which is what some people thrive on. Yeah, although I wouldn't put the president on speakerphone. Hiyo Bwana Sonko, woka muno, and I know you understand. That was too much. Hey, ish. But in 2017, Sonko used the power he had of the masses to bulldoze his way to a Jubilee nomination. Of course, with a lot of help from Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, who had his own battles deep inside Jubilee. And circumstances were such that it favored him, favoring Sonko. And a few phone calls later, Mike Sonko succeeded against great odds to win the Jubilee nomination and ultimately the governorship of Nairobi. But alas, as he settled into office, other powerful offices were set up to ensure his downfall right from the word go. And therefore, it was not a question of if Sonko will survive or not. As governor of the county ambayo iko na wenyewe, but it was simply a question of when. How long would he survive? And of course, we have now answered that question. He has survived until December 2020. Quite an achievement, if you ask me. But politically, Mike Sonko remains a major force, not only in Nairobi politics, but in national politics. Oh yes. This man has the kind of grassroots support that would be the envy of any politician anywhere in the world. And what we have done, we have just taken Mike Sonko through a very difficult university course on management and dirty politics and how to handle it. And the man has just graduated with first-class honors. Therefore, watch out. And to make matters worse, Bwana Sonko is a very emotional man. Yeah, he definitely has cause to settle. And his baptism of fire will no doubt be very useful going forward, politically. You know, there's another little known story of a man called Najib Balala, who was in very similar circumstances to what Sonko has just gone through. Because in the year 1998, against great odds, he won mayor of Mombasa. Lakini pia Mombasa iko na wenyewe. Balala came in with a different style. And Sonko-like determination to bring change to Kenya's second largest city. And he did a lot during his short stint. But the powers that controlled Mombasa were too strong for him. And therefore, after barely a year in office, he was removed. Yeah. But note this, he remained politically relevant to date. And he used that experience, very valuable experience, yeah, of dealing with dark forces in the political trenches as a springboard to his future political career. Yeah, and today, he's still cabinet secretary against great odds. Now, Balala was a political force then, when he became mayor of Mombasa during that short period. But his political influence and power with the people was nowhere near what Sonko's is today. And therefore, if I were you, I would take this man from Likoni in Mombasa, Mike Sonko, very seriously. As far as the future of our politics is concerned. Yeah. And of course, I'm aware of his dark past. I'm aware of all the many things about Sonko that many people don't like. But hey, the power is with the people and the people alone. And even if for a short while it appears that other forces, the system, can frustrate Sonko, it will not be for long. And it will definitely not be forever. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.